Your life until I started, till my mom and my dad started to have arguments and over the whole custody thing.
We went to court for the first time December of '95. The attorney put a restraining order on him for his actions with the abuse. By January of '96, he told me that he was going to ruin me and destroy me. That's when he came back to tell me that he would be taking Sarah away from me.
When I was walking to school with one of my friends, and he came in his car and pulled over, and he tried to get me to talk to him, but I did, and he said, do you want to live with me? And I said, I don't know, but because I was afraid if I said no, then he would just keep asking questions, and whenever I saw him, he would always ask why was I shaking, because I used to start shaking in front of him, because it's just scary, and I don't know what he's going to do.
The court said that my daughter spent too much time with me. They wanted Sarah to go into daycare because after school, they wanted to start getting her used to staying away from me.
It's very widespread, unfortunately, among abusers to use custody and visitation litigation as a continuing weapon of the abuse. And custody and visitation litigation can make it impossible, in one sense, for a woman ever to escape the abuse.
To win custody of the kids over and against the mother's will is the ultimate victory, short of killing the kids. It's the best way to hurt her and kick her down is to get her kids.
They said that my daughter was afraid of her dad. She didn't want to visit with him alone, and that was my doing. He was pulling her out of cars to visit with him, even when she didn't want to leave. And they said that I wasn't pushing her out of the car. Basically, they said that I should just bodily take her out of the car and drive away. And at that point, they got it in motion to start this parental alienation syndrome that they charged me with.
Parental alienation syndrome is a theory that was invented by a man named Richard Gardner. He said there is a syndrome called parental alienation whereby the custodial parent, who is usually the mother, is trying to alienate the children from the father. And she's doing it by raising these false abuse allegations.
If you have a child who is reluctant or refuses to visit a parent, or who makes complaints that the other parent is abusing them and refuses to go to visitation, the cause of that is the mother doing things to sabotage the relationship with the father.
Gardner's research has been thoroughly debunked by the American Psychological Association and every other credible scientific expert that has looked at his work has said that there's no scientific validity to it. But they have acknowledged that nonetheless the courts are interpreting the facts in front of them
to sabotage the relationship with the father.
Gardner's research has been thoroughly debunked by the American Psychological Association and every other credible scientific expert that has looked at his work has said that there's no scientific validity to it. But they have acknowledged that nonetheless the courts are interpreting the facts in front of them in this light. And so if a mother comes into custody court and says, the father battered me and is putting the children at risk, or has even abused the children, the immediate response is, she's alienating. This is called parental alienation, Your Honor. She's just trying to alienate the children from the father. This is what mothers do. What we know statistically is that several studies have found that 75% of contested custody cases, 75% of those cases have a history of domestic violence. What that tells you is, if you're a judge and you're sitting on a contested custody docket, don't be surprised when abuse is brought up.
There are dozens and dozens who will all agree with me that this junk science called parental alienation syndrome has been responsible for so much harm. And yet I am aware every day of judges basing decisions on this and psychologists using this as knowledge and making recommendations to judges because of this junk science, and it is appalling.